Hello and welcome to Cat's Movie Corner with our third episode of From the Pile. I'm Cat, joined by Ernesto. How's it going?
Oh, it's going. Fair warning, I have a bit of a buzz going on, but I'm starting to evaporate, as they
Mm.
say. I've got about 3 fingers worth of rum in my system that's about to sober up. So, you know,
Hey, Herc 130, explosions and loud noise. Yes, we like starting with a bang on this show. A lot of stuff to cover before we get to our topics. So
but
I'll cover.
before we do you want to start with a trivia?
Let's start with trivia,
Let's
and
start with trivia.
we'll give a chance for the person in the chat. Unless I can solve it immediately, we'll give a chance for the people watching to see if they can answer it.
Of course. I am gonna have to invest in an O-ring because this ceiling light is not
Mm.
working for me, but what can you do? All right, so the question is number 382. So I got to go to 382. And for those who are not familiar with the trivia, we just started this. It is called Obsessed with Hollywood.
Mm.
Test your knowledge of the silver screen. 2,500 questions. And you've got great classics and one legend with Marlon Brando in The Godfather, Cat's favorite movie, The Titanic, and Sir Hitchcock himself. Was he ever knighted?
He might have been.
Yeah. Well, we're gonna go with Sir Alfred Hitchcock.
Yeah,
All
we'll
right.
call him
Let's
anyway.
just let's just put some respect on that name.
Let's.
Okay. What did I say? 382? 382. All right. Are you ready?
Yes.
All right. In the category of classic films, what there all are classic films.
He was knighted. I just checked.
He was?
Yes, he was. I just
All
checked.
right. So perfect. Question number 382. Who plays Felix Unger in the 1968 film The Odd Couple? Is it A, Jack Lemmon, B, Tony Randall, C, Walter Matthau, or D, Jack Klugman with a K?
I can't remember which character name is which, so it's either Jack Lemmon or Walter Matthau. So I'm just gonna guess Jack Lemmon.
All right, Kat says D.
No, Lemon. That was the second one, or the first one. I think you said.
Oh, then yes, you were correct. It was Jack Lemmon.
Good.
And tune in on the next episode for question number 1734.
All right. Yeah, so a lot of stuff's been going on in the movie world today. First one, I don't know if you saw it, but they did drop the trailer for Masters of the Universe.
I have not seen it yet. I did see the poster, which
Uh,
is the back of He-Man holding
so-
his sword, and in the foreground, or I guess the background, because He-Man is in the foreground, and in the background is an admittedly very wicked-looking Skeletor. Very, very accurate. But I'm only going by the poster. I haven't seen the teaser to the trailer, nor have I seen the official trailer. I have seen some stills, and until I actually watch it, I still am not sold on the actor they hired to play both Prince Adam and He-Man.
yeah, I watched the trailer and I thought he was okay. I mean, granted, I have no attachment to this IP. My familiarity with Skeletor comes from all the memes that friend of the channel Bunny and Snipe posts in chats and stuff all the time. So I didn't. But the guy they got for He-Man, I mean, he's a new guy. I haven't seen him in anything before. I thought he was okay in the trailer. I wasn't.
He was in that movie with Anne Hathaway last year where he plays the 15-year younger boyfriend to her plus 40 single mom.
Didn't hear of it.
Yeah. It's actually nice, but yeah, my problem is, and this is again, I haven't seen the trailer, we haven't seen the movie, so I'm not gonna jump on it too harshly. My attachment to the franchise goes back to, if you're a millennial like me, goes back to the Cartoon Network 2000s era adaptation of the franchise, which was later followed up on in comic book form via IDW. I believe it was 10 years ago, they had a crossover between He-Man and DC Comics, where I think in the first comic, Superman fights He-Man, and because it's magic based, He-Man would probably have the edge. But it was actually kind of amusing because I had to read the He-Man comics leading up to that crossover, because in the crossover, Skeletor doesn't have a bottom jaw, so he's talking, but the mouth is not moving, so it's just the
Yeah.
very pronounced upper bite, if that makes sense.
Mhm.
Um, but my thing with He-Man, and I'm sure a lot of people, the purists, will go towards the 80s version, right? My thing that I appreciate with the Cartoon Network version of it is that there was a difference between Adam and He-Man. Adam, while he was fit, he wasn't like a big Adonis
Right.
looking of a person. He-Man, yeah, you can't tell who's Adam and who's He-Man, because He-Man's supposed to go from Adam, who's like 5'8", 5'9", and He-Man's like 6'4", 6'5", and he's built like Schwarzenegger from his prime as Mr. Olympian. So there's supposed to be a major difference. So when I look at the guy that they cast, again, I can see him as Adam if he were to, be regularly slim, but I don't see the He-Man, because okay, what's the difference between him as Adam and him as He-Man?
Yeah, and I got the trailer playing again on mute right now, and it's like, yeah, he's wearing his blue jeans and a pink buttoned shirt through most of the trailer
Yeah,
everywhere he
it'd be
goes.
a callback to the 80s.
Right, and, okay, watching him as He-Man, you're right, he isn't, like, totally like, yeah, he's still ripped, but he's not like the way that other,
Yeah, he's not a giant. He's not.
he's not the popular version, let's put it that way, the one that most people think of.
Yeah, the one that people recognize.
Skeletor looks amazing, though, in the trailer,
Oh, well,
he's
I
great.
can't wait to see it then, because I've just wrapped up watching our movie for tonight.
Yeah, that'll release June 5th,
Oh,
so,
so it's gonna come out on my birthday month.
yes.
Interesting.
I did see a couple movies this week.
I
First
did
one was, No Other Choice by Park Chan-wook,
same.
shut out at the Oscars, unfortunately, this year.
It was?
It was shut out. I
Oh,
thought that Lee Byung-hun was one of the best lead performances I've seen all year. He was so good in this movie. I love the comic irony that, he's taking things to the extremes of murder, not
yeah.
because his family's gonna go homeless, but because, like, right across the street from his house are, like, these apartments that they would probably have to move into, and I get it. Nobody wants the rug pulled out from under them like that, but I'm like, "This is really extreme," and I admit I couldn't get behind all the choices he was making, particularly with the second person he goes after, but it was a really good movie, a little slow at times. I kinda felt the runtime, but, another winner for Park Chan-wook. I gave it 4 out of 5. Thought it was pretty good.
Yeah, I would give it the same rating. Again, this is one of those characters that I agree I can't really support what you're doing. I mean, I get it. Don't get
Yep,
me wrong, I get it.
yep.
He got to that point where he was so desperate, he was willing to do the unthinkable to secure not only his future, but his family's future, because they're used to a lifestyle. And I think it's more him than his wife and his kids, because I think throughout the movie, you see that his wife is starting to get used to the idea, you know what? I'm going to have to actually start putting a little bit effort into not only this relationship, but this marriage, my kids. I'm going to actually get a job, actually work and provide for my family, even though my husband is trying to do the same. And we might not be able to enjoy that very carefree, lavish lifestyle. So she was actually having that character growth, and he was regressing because he was doing like the complete opposite. Because throughout the whole movie, they're like, it's kind of like, that joke. I don't know if it's a joke, but it's kind of like saying like the man who fell inside the hole, and God sent him a preacher, a messenger, and all that stuff. He gave him like different options, different signs to get out of the hole, and the guy kept staying in the hole. He was purposely keeping himself in the hole, even though he had all these options. And it almost kind of got to that point where, in the dark comedy kind of way, it all would have worked itself out without him having to go to the extreme. But because he was inserting himself in a very pathetic way, but funny, I'm like, oh man, you could have probably done all this without having to get, you know, your hands dirty in a way.
Yeah, because it's like, okay, there are other things you could do maybe to sabotage them when they're on
Like
their way
maybe
to the interview.
manipulate it from afar, but don't actually resort to murder, which is the
Right,
main.
because these people, the process is still the same. You send in your resume, you get a phone call, maybe you get an interview. Well, he could find a way to sabotage their efforts to get to the interview or whatever so that the employers are frustrated
Yeah.
rather than going straight to murder. And I like how his wife is kind of the one who inadvertently suggested it. And that's another thing I love about this movie is that it's like a real genre bender because it's like a tragedy, but it's also really funny. And foreign films do that a lot more than American films. So like blending genres a lot, like to make it feel more real.
It doesn't always work, but very few times it works. It's kind of like Parasite in a way.
Yeah.
Parasite had so many tones, so many genres, but it never felt out of place. It was actually building towards each one. And when it got funny, it got funny.
Yeah, and the ending of this movie too, when the sentiment that it ends on, I'm not gonna spoil it, but it's like,
Uh,
oh, geez, after everything.
the
But
one thing that was pulling me out of this movie was the and again, I wasn't there filming. I'm not sure what was happening, but a lot of the backgrounds were a little bit like, really? You couldn't go outside and actually film that? You had to like do this on a sound stage? Come on, really? It's one of those, it's not the end of the world, but it's like an eyesore. And I know they tried their best, but I'm like, really? You couldn't find an outside place to film that?
yeah, so that
And
one
it's
was really good.
and the one thing is that he did the one thing that you're not supposed to do when you're trying to find a new job. Again, he's not technically sitting on his ass, but he's not finding something temporary. Like he is so focused on the one thing he knows he's good at that he's willing not to try anything new. And I like that the three people that he is trying to sabotage, they're like an extension of him.
Yeah,
Like like they're all like basically different paths he probably could have taken on his own, yet he's living vicariously through them while he's making the wrong choices at the same time.
yeah, and it also comes from the fact that he has a lot of pride in what he did. He's like, 25 years I worked at this paper mill, and and he goes on about how wonderful this is. Like, it's not just a job or a lifestyle. It's really like in him. It's like in in his blood that he wants to do this. And so
Exactly.
when the American investor or whatever is like, sorry, we had no other choice but to embrace AI. It's like, really? And so
Yeah.
they
The
just have
second the
no.
second person, that one was the really the tragic one. That one's like,
Yeah,
no.
that's where I can't get behind him. Uh, and it's like again, but we had to embrace AI. We had no other choice. It's like, really? You clearly have no understanding of what it means to your employees besides the money aspect of it, you know?
You
Uh,
didn't take the eel, did it? Did you? You took the eel.
oh gosh. Hey,
What
at
other
least they gave him that for a severance rather than in America, you just get laid off and it's like, goodbye.
it's like, hey, we didn't get eel.
Yeah. Uh, the next film I saw, or do you want to go next? What's your next one?
My next one is the anime feature adaptation of All You Need Is Kill, which
Mhm.
for those who may or may not know, it was adapted from a manga which 12 years ago, almost 12 years ago, was adapted into a live action movie with Tom Cruise and Emily Blunt in a movie called Edge of Tomorrow, which at the time was called Live, Die, Repeat, and at the same time was called All You Need Is Kill. And they could never really figure out, because it was also part of the marketing, they could never figure out, are we calling it Edge of Tomorrow, Live, Die, Repeat, or All You Need Is Kill? And even when you bought the Blu-ray, I don't have it around me right now, but if you were to look at the Blu-ray cover, it says Live, Die, Repeat. And the only place on the cover it says Edge of Tomorrow is on the front, but it's not as prominent as
Right.
Live, Die, Repeat. But this one, you really have to get used to because I haven't read the manga and I don't know what the art style looks in the manga. But in the movie, it is like big eyes, big head, like almost like alien face and everything. But it's got a very nice fluid motion, like got like that very crisp hand drawn feel, very old school style, but very colorful. And the creatures in this movie are basically Imagine if a Venus flytrap was the size of a xenomorph and it can move as fast as a red ant if you were to blow up a red ant from Honey, I Shrunk the Kids, but they can move like the Flash. That is horrifying. But as opposed to the live action movie, which looks like black void things with claws, here it's just like, oh yeah, do you know what a Venus flytrap looks like? Imagine being stuck inside the mouth of one of those things. Ugh. But it kind of, but because I already know what the plot is, it really follows the same beats, but it does it in a different way. Because in this one, you have the female perspective; she's the main character, whereas in the live action, it's like Tom Cruise is the main actor. So the gender roles are reversed, but you still get the same comedic beats. You die over and over and over again, but every time you die, you figure out a different option, a different option. And I think in the movie they die like over 150 times, something like that, until they have to like figure it out. Otherwise, this last one might be our final. If we don't do it now, it's over. And it has like a happy ending, kind of like the first movie. So it follows the same beats, but I like it just as much as I did Edge of Tomorrow, but I like Edge of Tomorrow more because that movie just came out of it was like a dark horse movie that came out, like one of the best movies of that year that nobody saw. This one, I can totally understand nobody hearing about it or seeing it because the only anime movies that are making it big right now are movies like Demon Slayer and Dragon Ball because they're following continuity to the show. So a lot of people are already predispositioned to show up to those. But if you want to see a very action-packed anime movie, this one I highly recommend. I give it a 4 out of 5 as well.
All right, the next one. I remember seeing Live Die Repeat when it came out, and I thought it was okay because it's like if you're gonna do the conceit of a very repetitive thing where you're literally doing the same thing every time, then the punchline's got to be pretty damn good every time. And I wasn't as won over by that as everybody else was, but I do remember the hilarity over the confusion over the indecisiveness over what the title should be. Like even on my digital movie locker, it's alphabetized under the letter L. I repeat. So it's like okay, it is what it is. Bill Paxton was great in that movie, though. I like.
Oh my! How he didn't get at least a best supporting nom just for the on the first frame, he is already eating up the screen. That's the screen. That's how great he is.
Yes.
It's also very tragic because they wanted to make a sequel, and I remember Bill Paxton.
Hmm.
He posted online, "I just got out of surgery. Doug Lyman, I'm ready to serve. Call me when it's good to go." And then, unfortunately, he passed away, which really hit hard. I'm not gonna deny when Bill Paxton passed away, that pretty much hit hard because I was like, you see him coming out, he's ready to go. He feels really vitalized and energetic, and then
Yeah. Well,
life
that was
happened.
actually right. That was before the surgery because he told him that in the same email or whatever that he was nervous about it, but he
Uh,
was game to do that, and he died during surgery. But I remember that. That was really sad because that was like the day before the Oscars, and uh, Jennifer Aniston gave him a shout out. She's presenting something, which was nice.
what
Next
was that
movie.
movie? He did a movie before. His last movie was what with Tom Hanks, where it's like a surveillance sci-fi type of movie.
With Tom Hanks.
Yeah, I think it was with Tom Hanks, where it's in a futuristic world where there's a camera everywhere, and there's no such thing as
Oh,
anonymity.
uh,
I think it starts with the letter C, the title, but I can't recall.
oh, the Circle or whatever.
Circle, yes, that one.
Yeah,
He played the father of the lead character in that movie.
I completely forgot that movie existed. I didn't see it. It came and went pretty fast.
It
It was
did.
that was one of those movies
It was
where
a January movie. That's what it was.
well, that was one of those movies where the first trailer was excellent, and then the second trailer told you the whole movie, and it's like, oh, this doesn't seem as interesting anymore.
Yeah, that's true.
Uh, the next movie was 28 years later, The Bone Temple. Again, a nonsensical title because the Bone Temple was in the first movie and was defined in the first movie, so it's not like there's anything extra about it in this movie. This is definitely a part two. The
Hmm.
first one, if not for the final scene, really works as a standalone film, even if it didn't get a sequel. Whereas this one, you have to watch the first one first. They don't try and catch you up on what happened or anything like that. Nia DaCosta is the director, and wow, she really channels A Clockwork Orange in terms of the violence and intensity and just the disturbing factor of what is in this movie. And as usual, I'm not talking about the zombies. Uh, it's now readily apparent why they chose to infuse a Teletubby slash Jimmy Savile cult in this franchise.
A Teletubby? What the fuck?
Well, have you seen it yet?
No,
Oh
I
no. Well,
think for
look
those
at.
who don't know, I am not really into this
Oh, that's
franchise
right. I
for
forgot.
whatever
Yeah.
reason.
Well, because
And I saw the first one, I just wasn't impressed.
well, the prologue of the last one, the kids are at home watching Teletubbies. It's they're really young, and the
Oh wait,
boy.
that was in the trailer. That was in the trailer, right?
It was in the trailer, yeah. And when the outbreak starts, the little boy runs to the church because his father's the vicar there, and the father's elated because he thinks it's the rapture that's happening. But
Mm,
when he sees them coming, he still hides his son under the pews or under the grate in the floor. And because the kid sees his father embraced by the zombies and leading them on, he thinks that his father is Satan. Because he and these kids who have now grown up think that the zombie outbreak is demons being unleashed on the earth by God as punishment for our sins, and that God's forsaken the earth, so they're a group of Satanists. And they decide to go around worshiping Satan through blood sacrifice. And the Teletubbies are one of the only pure things they remember from their childhood because they're real little kids when it started, which of
okay,
course begs the question: how did these little kids survive as long as they did? But okay, which is why they have the
survive at this point.
right. And he's making a parallel with how I never watched Teletubbies. I didn't understand. One of the biggest perplexing things in my life is what the fuck was so appealing about Teletubbies. I have no idea. But he's making a parallel about how they talk. They're kind of innocent or whatever, and the message coming from the baby and the son or whatever. And the lead guy, Jimmy Crystal, played by Jack O'Connell, seems to have some type of psychosis where he thinks he keeps hearing his father's voice in his head, and because he's equating his father's voice with Satan, and he's imagining like they grew up watching Teletubbies and stuff like this is like the son, this is that's speaking to them that we have to go out and do these terrible things. And it's funny that the Jimmy Savile aspect of it, they never once mention Savile's name, but they talk about the Teletubbies. So I thought, okay, that's kind of odd. I was very surprised that they got an American director for this because Jimmy Savile is a very British monster. You would think a British director would be the one who'd want to serve up justice because he escaped. Of course, the real Savile escaped any reckoning in his life. Uh, Ray Fiennes scores a lot of points with the heavy metal crowd in this movie. It is a scene which I'm so happy I saw it on the big screen. But it's like, oh my god, I'll just say it involves Iron Maiden and it's amazing and it's
Now, I keep seeing a lot of that ever
oh
since the
god,
movie came out, where I'm just like, okay, I'm not gonna watch the movie, but what the fuck is with all the all
well,
the phallic symbols?
does anybody in the chat care about spoilers?
I don't know. Do we have anybody in the chat other than
I
Herc
think Herc's
180?
the only one watching it. Herc 130.
Oh, 130. Sorry, I thought you were 180. I thought you did a switch. I'm
Well,
sorry, the buzz is still hitting me.
I
I'm
mean
gonna be sick for a
the kid who was really good in the first one kind of takes a back seat in this. It's much more about I am the chat, says Herc. Herc, have you seen the movie yet,
bit.
or do you care about spoilers or anything yet? Otherwise, I'll just skip over it.
Might as well.
I mean,
We're gonna be spoiling shit anyway.
yeah, it's true. So basically, the Savile cult, when they torment the farmhouse sequence is brutal, and it's so dark and sadistic and evil, and it's like they're okay. Spoil away, and they're like the Droogs from Clockwork Orange. It is so horrifying what you're watching, but the kid doesn't want to participate. He's too revolted by it, and
Yeah.
so he judges him afterwards and says, "Oh, maybe you're not really cut out to be with us, and we should judge you." When one of the kids played by Erin Kellyman, who played Enfys Nest in Solo, she's one of the Jimmies, and she's like, "Well, why don't we take him to Old Nick, which is their name for Satan?" And Jimmy's like, "What do you mean take him to Old Nick?" She's like, "I saw him today. I was out scouting and I saw him. He had this temple of bones and he had red skin and he was communing with one of the demons." Because Dr. Kelson is still trying to figure out how to treat the zombies because he shoots them with these blow darts that have morphine in it. It seems to dull them, and this one zombie keeps coming back because it's like addicted to the morphine. And so they're like, "Oh, he's communing with it." And so Jimmy Crystal has to admit that okay, this is probably Satan. So they go there. They look at the temple from afar, And Jimmy's like, okay, the first rule is none of you are going to talk to him or look him in the eye, and I'm going to go down and talk to him first. And you get the sense that he's kind of a bullshitter. And that's one of the things that one of the other cult members thinks, that maybe he doesn't really believe in all this shit, or he's just saying that. So he goes down to the Bone Temple and he sees him, and they talk. And, Dr. Kelson obviously doesn't think this is satanic. It's an infection, and he knows that.
Yeah.
Whereas Jimmy thinks it is an infection, or thinks it is Satan and all that. But when Dr. Kelson convinces him that he's not Satan, Jimmy's like, well, you're kind of in a bind here, because I can't go back and tell them that you're not Satan, or they're going to call me out for my bullshit. But then they'll probably kill you too if you're not Satan. He's like, okay, I understand. Come back tomorrow night and I'll put on a show for you. So they do come back the next night, and he's hung a bunch of lanterns from the pillars of bones. He's laid out a bunch of kerosene that he has, poured a lot of flammable gunpowder around. He's covered himself in white paint with black rings in his eyes. And apparently he has speakers there, and he blasts Iron Maiden's The Number of the Beast, and he's singing to it and doing that insane dancing with it. He has an old
This is Ray Fiennes, by the way, right?
and he has an old fire retardant suit on at one point, so he could spin around all the flammable dust. He has some type of drug, maybe it's morphine or meth or something, that he blows into their faces, and they're all having an ecstasy because they think it's they think he's Satan and all that, even though Jimmy knows that he's not Satan. And it is unbelievable. And Rafe is actually singing it, and it's badass. It's just,
it sounds like it's the best part of the movie.
It is. And after he finishes, he gives them a task because he has to get them out of here. And he's like, and Jimmy tells them how they've been committing blood sacrifice and ripping out people's intestines, so their screams can be heard in the depths of hell or whatever. And so he says, number one, you go out and continue doing what you're doing. Number two, you all listen to the lead Jimmy. And number three, don't have new initiates kill one of the others as the initiate. You need to add more people to your flock. And they're like, okay. But then he sees that one of them is a kid who's wearing a mask, and he could see that it's Spike. He recognizes the kid. He could see it in his eyes, and he could see the fear that the kid has. So he's like, you know what? I take that back. How about, how Jesus' son, or how Jesus sacrificed himself for his son and his sins. Well, Jimmy, you told me that you hear my voice in your head. You're the son of Satan. Well, I need you to commit such sacrifice as well. And he commands the other Jimmys to crucify him on an inverted cross. But before they can do it, he stabs Dr. Kelson, and then the kid stabs Jimmy, and the girl Jimmy kills the other two. And then they crucify him upside down on the cross, whining like a little bitch like he is. And as Kelson dies, the two, the kid and the girl wander off, and she gets rid of her Jimmy Savile wig. And the zombie, it seems, has been cured. The alpha zombie, he gave him something, because Dr. Kelson had a theory that the reason the zombies are so vicious is because they must have some type of psychosis. Like they're seeing something that isn't there. And the antipsychotic drug he gave the zombie actually works. And he goes back to the train from the previous movie, and he's remembering the day of the outbreak, that he saw the zombies getting on the train, and the ticket taker was asking for his ticket. And he says in plain English, in his regular voice, "Sorry, I don't have a ticket," while he's remembering this. And so he comes back to the Bone Temple and decides to give Dr. Kelson a proper, dignified burial, and he thanks him. And as the Jimmy is dying on the cross, because he's still hallucinating from the drugs that Kelson blew in his face, he hallucinates that this zombie has like horns like the actual Satan. And then, of course, the actual zombies come along and rip him to shreds. He's a piece of shit.
Exactly.
And it's like, and then the movie ends with an undetermined time later, and we meet Cillian Murphy's character again. He's got a daughter. He's homeschooling her. They see these zombies way out on the hills, and they see the two running from them, the kid and the girl. And the daughter's like, "Should we help them, Dad? We got to help them." And he's like, "All right, we'll help them. Follow me." And then it cuts to black as the end of the movie. But I mean, I gotta tell you, I have not watched a movie like this with this kind of gore where I've just been so unsettled and shit. Because that farmhouse scene, he calls it the removal of the shirts, where they skin the torsos of the people in the barn, and it is vicious. And it's again like the home invasion scene in Clockwork Orange. It is so intense and dark. And Nia DaCosta did a great job. It's like, don't be put off by the fact that she made The Marvels, which wasn't very good. She is a top-notch director. Did an excellent job with this movie.
Well, didn't you watch Candyman?
I didn't. I missed out on that, and it's
Mhm.
on.
It's on the
It's
pod.
on. Yeah, it's on somewhere. Yeah. Yeah, you're right, Herc. It is gross. No, thank you. But it is also the intensity of it. Like it doesn't feel schlocky. It's just very well directed, like what Kubrick did with Clockwork Orange. Because even in that sequence, it's not like you saw a bunch of nudity or
Right,
whatever in the
it's not gratuitous for the purpose of being gratuitous. There's a
right.
point to it.
Yeah, and it's just, but I give it 4 out of 5 instead of higher because it is very much a part two. You have to see the first movie. Doesn't really work on its own, but damn.
What was the first movie?
Well, the first one, 28 years later, it was okay. Like I said, it if not for the final scene, to be
Like, what is like a 90-minute movie?
like hour 50, I think.
And this one was around about the same.
Yeah, about hour 40.
Oh, so they couldn't get away with a 3-hour movie, so they had to split it in two, I'm guessing.
Yeah, well, I mean, tonally it is very different. The second one is far more like we've seen zombie violence in a lot of movies, and you had
Oh,
that.
yeah, it's just that because this franchise has such a very specific, what's it called? What's the term? It has such a specific
Aesthetic
no,
or
no, no,
style,
no, you know what they call it when it's like, oh, this franchise is known for that thing. What's the term?
or like an auteur or signature.
Yeah, what kind of signature is like 28 days later, 28 weeks.
Yeah.
They couldn't do 28 months because it's been so long, so they do 28 years. I'm surprised they say 28 years plus a subtitle when you would be thinking it's like, 28 eons later, but clearly there's not going to be a 28
Well, yeah.
eons later.
Well, yeah, and that's
A
they
gimmick,
tried.
gimmick. That's what I look at. Like the gimmick is
Exa
28. Boom.
Well, they did that with this by way of the fact that it was released exactly 28 weeks after
Oh,
28
okay,
years later.
that's the gimmick.
Yeah, that's the gimmick, which is why they should have pushed it to April. It still did well, 31 million globally opening weekend.
I mean, it's
Uh,
a cheap movie, right? It has to be cheap.
it was 63
Or
million.
oh, well, damn. Wait, is it like a shared budget or
I don't know because the previous one said 60. This is 63, but they shot them at about the same time or back to back. And
okay?
but I know that Sony was or whatever studio it is was so happy at the pre-release buzz for the critic screening in December that they prematurely greenlit the third one. But Cillian Murphy, who's one of the producers, says, "Well, it's going to depend on how many people go to see this because
Hmm,
it needs to make its money back." So I think it would have made more money even if they pushed it to March to April or something. Because
maybe
again,
February.
they put it in mid-January because of the gimmick, and most people, regardless of the fact that the critic rating is 94%, most people still think of January as Hollywood's dumping grounds, and rightly so. So
Yeah.
I think they should have
And most
avoided
of the
that.
people that go out to see horror movies are teenagers in January.
Yeah. Uh, so that
But
was a
there's but I agree there is an expectation. I'm like, oh, in January?
yeah.
Now if it
Tonally
was
though, the film
April, yeah.
tonally though, both movies are very different. Like the first one, dare I say, was more wholesome because the boy wants to get care for his mother because she's
A
dying of
wholesome
cancer.
zombie movie.
Well,
Now
because
that's
he lives on this island where it's inaccessible during high tide, and his mom's got some type of psychosis. He can't figure out what it is. His father, played by Aaron Taylor Johnson, takes him out on a foraging mission, and while they're out there, he sees the bone temple or the fire coming from it, and his son and his father's like, "Oh, that's just some crazy doctor. He burns all the corpses. It's horrible." And because the father doesn't want to do anything to help the mother, or there's nothing he can do, the kid decides to sneak his mother out and take her there. And it had a very Heart of Darkness type premise where we got to go on a long journey, into the Wilderland to find the Kurtz like figure. But when you get there, he's an innocent NHS doctor, not, a monster. What's that? I can't tell what that is. Hold it closer.
I'm just showing off my shinies.
What is it? I can't tell.
Trading cards. People
Oh,
who
cool.
know.
Yeah, so it's like the first one had that more wholesome kind of bit to it. It was a little slow, but the second one is just, oh my god, it's so brutal and so vicious and mean-spirited, but in a good way for a horror movie, as a horror movie should be. So I give 4 out of 5 Bone Temple.
Nice.
Uh, Next one I saw today was Primate, and I was pleasantly surprised. It's like, yeah, bad dialogue and cheesy characters be damned. That movie is built on tension and suspense. And unlike a movie like Smile, where I could see all the jump scares coming a mile away, with this, because you're dealing with a rabid chimp, you literally can't predict what it's going to do, and there aren't really many tells as to when the big scare is going to happen. So you're like feeling it in your chest, in your chest as you're waiting. And I thought, "Damn, that was a really good movie." And, all the sins of the script are forgiven in a horror movie if it's scary, and I thought it was pretty scary. But again, it's one of those movies that only works the first time you see it, I think. So I give it a B. I liked it. I really liked it.
It was, like, I'll give it props for using practical effects over CG.
Absolutely.
Yeah, you can tell it's a guy in a monkey suit, but it's a
Yeah,
very convincing monkey suit.
very much so.
Now, I'm not gonna be that guy, but I'm also gonna be that guy. So allow me a moment to be that
Yep,
guy for a moment. I know for a fact that in any given scenario, there is a high probability that it was me versus a chimpanzee. I am going to struggle to fight a chimpanzee one on one because
yeah.
their power is mostly in their arms because they're always on their arms. They can grab a coconut and rip it apart like it's nothing. More like it's gonna be also. However, there were times in this movie where you really had to be allowed to be insulted as a viewer to believe certain scenarios because I'm just like, you know, I know I'm supposed to acknowledge that it's a B movie and characters are going to do stupid things because what do we say, Kat?
The plot demanded it.
The plot demanded it. There are times where I'm just like, you had at least five good chances to either get out of here or overpower this thing because you had it. You had it right there. But because the movie has to happen, shit has to happen.
Well, and things that they don't notice, like when he surprises them by having climbed on the lights over the pool. I'm like, "You didn't hear or notice him doing
Yeah,
that."
it's like, you know what's a kryptonite for people in this movie? They don't know when to look up.
Yeah.
And apparently peripheral vision doesn't work either in this movie. Because you could have seen that thing moving around at some point. I'm just saying.
And I didn't buy that they would fall asleep in the pool.
No, no. Especially with especially with your adrenaline has to be at that point where you're alert and
You're
you're not
jacked.
going to tear your eyes away from that thing at any point. Like if
Yeah,
it was a staring contest between me and the chimp is gonna lose the staring
yeah.
contest.
Another thing was, there's a scene where they close the sliding glass door and the chimp's on the other side, and I get that you don't wanna make sudden movements and bolt for the pool, like, but they sit there staring at it for the longest time, and I'm like, "Go back down the stairs slowly
Yes.
and get to the fucking pool," and they don't do it, and it's
Also, there are some moments that we're just like, yes, do that. What you're doing right now is smart. And there's a bit of a twist because with the not the second kill in this movie, you're just like, huh, that's actually pretty smart. But then you're thinking, well, we still got about 80 minutes of a movie, so clearly it's not going to end there. And then when you see it happen, I'm like, okay, you know what? Bravo, movie. You earned that one. But after that, I struggle to
with
say it earned the rest of them.
with the guy who goes
With
over
the
the
guy
yeah.
with the first, yeah, it's like the one with the doctor. That one was stupid. I am sorry. That one was like,
Yeah, it's
really?
like he's 'cause the doctor's been told in advance that we need a test because it might be rabies, we don't know, and
Yeah,
he sees that the monkey is acting all up and hiding in the back, and it's already scared, but yeah, let's lean into this pitch
yeah.
dark room.
But even if you're familiar with the chimpanzee, proper protocol means you trank it from outside the cage
Yes,
and then you go inside.
yes, it's true.
Again, what do we always say, Kat?
The plot demanded
The
it.
plot demanded it. And
And
again,
why
I
is
would
that was Rob Delaney playing that role, but he's uncredited, and I don't know why he's uncredited.
Yeah, and then this is going to be a very mild spoiler, but there is a scene where one character grabs an admittedly a very firm stick because the chimp is attacking one of the characters, and she hits it, and she hits the chimp like off guard and hits him hard, and then she drops the stick and runs away. I'm like, no, you
Yeah,
keep hitting it again. I know in a one-on-one they wouldn't be able to do it, but once you get it, you keep
yeah.
going.
Now, I did like how they used Troy Kotsur in this movie. Of course, is the deaf actor who won supporting actor Oscar for Coda. And I thought that was really clever in the climax, how they
It was, but it
used
came
that.
in too late. It came in too late in the movie.
What do you mean?
The concept of him and what they do with
Well, they
his
established his character at the beginning.
they establish his character, but what they do with his deficiencies, because in the movie, as in real life, he's deaf. That whole, I guess you can call it a twist in the sequence, comes in way too late. I'm like, this would have been fine if he was in the movie, or if he was in the house more than just being away for the whole chunk of it.
Yeah,
I
and it's also surprising that he's concerned enough to leave the book signing, and it's established that this house is, like, in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah,
Spoilers, the house doesn't actually exist, the whole thing was shot on sound
Warner
stages in
doesn't
London.
exist. Who the fuck would
Yeah,
put a house like that?
yeah, who would put a house like that? But also,
Only Tony Stark
he
would put a house like that, but in real life, no.
it's like he has a suspicion of what the worst case scenario could be, but he goes in unarmed, unfazed, and he's a bit chill about it at first, so, yeah, that didn't work either, but, I did think that they had a lot of great tension in certain bits and good scares, so I
Well,
gotta give it props for
the
that.
the best part was the one in the bedroom with, you know,
Yeah, that one, they drew that
that
out for
really
quite a
was the
while.
best part because you know what's gonna happen, but the build up towards, I'm just like, this reminds me of General Thad from Planet of the Apes, the Tim
Mhm.
Burton one. That's what it reminded me of.
It's been a long time, I can't remember what he did.
No, it's not what he did. It's just that like he's gonna do something, and he's gonna do it in his very like this is one of the reasons why it's also a B movie because no animal in rabies is going to be as cold and calculating. It's like the only way this would
Right.
make sense if this was a spin off of Planet of the Apes, Primate.
Well, then it also had that little factoid at the beginning where it says they call rabies hydrophobia,
Yeah,
and that was first recorded in, like, 2300 BC,
yeah.
and fear of water, and it's like, "Wait, is that what rabies actually is?"
Yeah, you know what? I didn't bother looking it up because I didn't want to dignify it.
Yeah, exactly.
Because the thing is that even if that were the case, he is within 5 feet from a body of water, and it's like, wait, if he doesn't like it, he would be further away. He wouldn't
Yeah.
even climb. He wouldn't even climb over it if he's afraid of it.
Another thing that was, a lot of times what rabid animals would do, they bash their head against the wall or whatever, and I thought he was gonna do that on the glass door, but he doesn't really do that. But yeah, it's a movie that it's definitely trying to be a B movie with the plot demanded it and the amount of dumb things the
Yeah,
characters do. But I thought as a little scare machine, I thought it was effective.
it's fine. I'm not gonna think fondly of it, but the parts that I did, like, you know what, I might not I don't. It doesn't have the rewatchability that a B movie should have, at least for me.
Mhm.
But the two moments that did work for me, I'm like, you know what? All that being said, bravo on these two stuff that I did like the practicality and the scene in the bedroom with the guy. That worked for me.
Alright, so, before we move on to the main segment and the other thing, but, were there any other movies you saw this week?
I saw The Rip on Netflix with Ben Affleck and Matt Damon. They both still got it. Very, very fun movie. It's very straightforward. It's not trying to be something it's not. It is a crime drama with an explosive third act. That's all I'll say. I give it a 3.5 out of 5. Like, whenever these two guys are on screen, they're a delight.
Mhm.
Like, and then I think the last one I saw, I'm looking it up right now. I'm checking my diary right now here.
Would you call it like a Netflix movie, the way we say that in a semi-derogatory manner?
It's actually a bit above it, but I would call it a Netflix movie only after listening to that excerpt from Matt Damon when he was on the Joe Rogan show, where apparently now the way Netflix makes movies is that because they know 9 out of 10 times their audiences are on their phones with the movie or TV shows playing in the background.
Mhm.
So they wrote this movie, and the notes that Netflix gave Ben and Matt were, I need you to recycle what's happening in the movie every 15 minutes. Repeat everything over and over and over again because chances are nobody's paying attention. But when they do pay attention, you gotta bring them up to speed. I'm just like, you're doing that one thing that Law and Order was doing in the middle of its seasons where they always have to repeat the crime and what happened before they catch the guy. I'm like, I'm not that stupid, but clearly the audience spending $30 a month is.
Well,
No offense to the people
in
watching.
in Law and Order's defense, you never get to see the crimes in those shows, so they might have to
No, I'm
remind
not
you
talking about
a
the
lot.
crime. I'm talking about repeating what, like the
Oh, right,
detection,
yeah.
the deduction of the crime.
And it's that type of thing which makes me worried about Netflix acquiring Warner Bros.
Yes.
It's like, you can't make
Yeah.
movies like that.
And the last movie I saw was based on a true story, Dead Man's Wire,
Oh, yeah, I heard about that.
which I liked it fine. I think it was a very good performance from Bill Skarsgård. Like he's always going to be Pennywise because of those eyes of his. I swear to God. Like I was waiting for him to just put white makeup and start going haywire around people. But a very good performance from Decree Montgomery. People will know him from the Red Ranger and the movie that came out in 2017, and I think he played Max's brother in the Netflix series Stranger Things. But you have Carrie Elways in it. You have Al Pacino, Coleman Domingo, and Kelly Lynch and John Robinson. It's a very good movie that pissed me off in the end because even though he was holding the banker at gunpoint, he was he was found innocent because of temporary insanity.
Mm,
And it's one of those movies that because he's the one that was done wrong by the big corporation, in this case, the bankers, everybody is on his side and not on the victim's side, which it's one of those
oh,
situations. But I like the aesthetic and I like it. It's got that late 70s, early 80s vibe to it. Very authentic, I felt. And you can tell just how different things is, just how different police work and even a hostage situation played out back in that day.
yeah,
But here's where it kind of ruins it, like the adaptation of it all. You know how sometimes in movies like this they show the actual footage in the
yeah.
credits. They show the actual footage of the guy, and I don't know who the hell you know felt like somebody was like, okay, we want to make this movie, but is it possible to get someone that looks nothing like the guy? Because Bill Skarsgård is like 6'5" compared to this guy that's no taller than Danny DeVito in real life. So it's just like, what the fuck? Like, imagine you're the guy holding the gun like this, but in real life you're holding the gun like this.
Oh, yeah.
And then
Oh,
last, before we jump into it, I got two new physical media.
okay, let's see it.
I have the Criterion of
Ooh,
one of my top 10. I think it was top 5 for 2024 for me. Honora.
nice. I got that one.
So I got the Criterion. I missed out on the Black Friday deal. They were selling it for $15 on Amazon. So I had to
Mm,
pay full price for it, which I'll pay full price for anything for this girl. You kidding?
mm.
And then speaking of crazy women, I got the 4K of Misery.
Ah, Misery.
No digital copy, but I'm okay with that. But I got the 4K Blu-ray.
Nice. That's a
And for
movie.
those, I'll probably debut it 2 months from now, but I did pre-order the steelbook for my favorite movie of 2024, the 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 Wild Robot.
Oh, yes, that's right. Misery is a movie I saw once, and I was like, okay, I'm good. I don't need to see it
I
again.
know exactly how you feel.
Because that was a movie that it's like, it's all that tension and suspense building up to that scene, and then the rest of the movie happens. But it's still a good movie. All right, so the next last story we have to cover before we move on is the Oscar nominations came out today.
Yes,
Sinners broke the record for 16 nominations.
I'm
Uh,
surprised.
Granted, they added the new category of best casting, but that's still a lot.
Okay,
Still,
I
yeah,
wasn't
they
aware
added.
of that feature.
Yeah, that was a new one they added there. I'm like, best casting. I'm like, I guess it's overdue because it is a legitimate thing. But here
Yeah,
I'm gonna go over the ones that were, the bigger ones. So, visual effects. People are making a big hubbub about the fact that none of the comic book movies got visual effects nominations this year. Uh, what they did nominate was Avatar: Fire and Ash, F1, Jurassic World: Rebirth, The Lost Bus, and Sinners. Uh,
wait, wait.
yeah,
The last, the last bus.
The Lost Bus.
Oh, yeah, I know the movie. Like the Matthew McConaughey.
Yes, for visual effects.
You're kidding.
No.
You, I like the movie fine, but it was not VFX nomination worthy.
Yeah, that was mixed. Like some of it worked, and then a lot of it
Hair
was
did not look that convincing. I'm sorry.
yeah.
Okay.
I think it's gonna go to Avatar 3, I
I
think.
mean, yeah.
Yeah,
I mean,
uh,
it'll come down between Avatar and F1, depending on where you want to vote.
yeah,
Wait,
best
so but and then Jurassic, really? Jurassic World?
I was shocked because it's like, okay, the Spinosaurus sequence looked good, but a lot of the rest of it, it just like they needed to
There are
render
stuff
it
that
more for
looks good, but not consistently.
that's what I mean, it's not consistent. But they gave that one a nomination. People were surprised. They thought Fantastic Four should have been nominated over that, or even Thunderbolts.
I do not disagree with none of the comic books because as good as they were, they did not have that oomph to their
Right.
visual effects.
Uh, Best sound. This is another one that surprised me. We got F1, Frankenstein, One Battle After Another, Sinners, and Surratt.
I
I
haven't
am
seen Gerard, but I would give it to F1.
I am surprised that Frankenstein got on there before Warfare because Warfare had
Warfare
stunning
makes
sound.
more sense. Warfare
That
makes more sense.
that sounded like I was in an IMAX theater, not just because of how loud it was, but because of the quality of that sound was so stellar. I'm shocked that it didn't get in for that. I thought that was a
Yeah,
shoo-in.
when they do the show of force scene like three different times, you're like, I gotta go like this because
Yeah,
that F-22 is about to blow my eardrums.
the high pitch of the radio when he's trying to get the radio off, it's like, oh my god, that sound was
It would
phenomenal.
I agree. It would make more sense if it were to come down between Warfare and F1. Those two make sense as far as sound because
Yeah,
especially F1 on an IMAX, authentic IMAX.
yeah.
Woo!
I'm kind of surprised that One Battle After Another and Frankenstein made that list. I
I don't
mean,
even
yeah,
know what
Sinners, I could
Frankenstein
see
was
it.
there for. I
Yeah,
mean, I
so
like it. There's
yeah.
nothing about a movie that screams, "Oh, sound." We got a nominated for that. Costume design makes more sense.
Well, yeah. Original score, you got Begonia, Frankenstein, Hamnet, One Battle After Another, and Sinners. I'm
Sinners
predicting
is gonna win it.
it's gonna win
Mark
Sinners.
my words, it's gonna go to Sinners.
It's gonna go to Sinners. Original song, most of them I don't know. I just tried listening to Goldings. Everybody talks about it from K-pop. I turned it off halfway through. I'm like, this isn't for me. K-pop isn't for me.
Okay. Can I, in the defense of the movie, it makes sense if you watch the movie with the soundtrack and then go for it. Just saying.
Yeah, I listen. Yeah, I just tried listening to the song, and I'm like, nope.
Okay.
The other songs I don't really know, like "Dear Me" from
I
"Sweet
think it's
Dream."
gonna go to I think it's gonna go to K-pop Demon Hunters.
Oh yeah, that or "I Lied to You" from
That song was playing all throughout
yeah.
the last check of the movie. So yeah.
Makeup and hairstyling, Frankenstein, Kokuho, which is a Japanese history film
Cool.
about kabuki. Uh,
Yeah, I sent you the trailer for that. I think it was going to be playing this weekend, this week only on an IMAX screen, but the show times are not doable, so I won't be able to
yeah,
see it.
yeah, I won't be able to get out there either. So Frankenstein, Kokuo, Sinners, The Smashing Machine, and The Ugly Stepsister.
What
I
was
did not
what was the category?
makeup and hairstyling. I'm thinking The Smashing Machine, perhaps.
I haven't seen the Smashing Machine. It's on the list because there's at
Is-
least 10 movies I want to watch before I make my top 10 of
yeah,
25. But for the ones that I've seen,
Frankenstein. Herc's correcting me my pronunciation.
oh, excuse me, Mr. Frankenstein.
uh,
About to say, I would give it to Frankenstein right
that's a
now.
good one too. Yeah.
I
On
prefer
that,
Frankenstein. Well,
yes.
you're still.
On that note, for best production design, we have Frankenstein, uh, Hamnet, Marty Supreme, One Battle After Another, and Sinners.
Ah, fuck Marty Supreme.
I think probably Frankenstein. The production design on
That
that was
movie
just
was
amazing.
gorgeous.
Everything was gorgeous about it.
Like, if ever there was a movie I could point out that has beautiful red in every shade, it is Frankenstein.
Here's one that's surprising for costume design: Avatar, Fire and Ash, Frankenstein, Hamnet, Marty Supreme, and Sinners.
You know when I'm laughing? Because when the first Avatar came out, do you remember when Ben Stiller came out dressed as a Na'vi?
I forgot about that. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's why I'm laughing. I'm like, is this a joke? This has to be a joke. Really? Okay.
And it's like I know that, I mean,
costume
Avatar.
are we talking about here?
Yeah, Avatar. It's like,
Spider, because he's not wearing anything, literally.
I mean, maybe the Ash. I don't know. That's a surprise. Uh,
Motion capture. What costume are we talking about? It's
that's
not the
true.
military gear.
It's true.
It's not Giovanni Ribisi in the pajama pants in that one scene.
Actually, a good point. And you know what would be really funny if Sinners won this because all the costumes from Sinners were
From
supposed to
Blade.
be Blade. It's
For
like
Blade. Yeah, it's like fuck
people could
you.
say Marvel's Oscar was won by Sinners this year.
Yeah.
I think it does. Sinners is probably, or Sinners or Frankenstein.
Frankenstein, yeah.
But that's a good point. I didn't think about that for Avatar. You're right. It's all motion capture. So what the fuck?
Again, it's like I'm not trying. I don't want to be that guy, but I'm going to be that guy. What the fuck?
All right, best film editing. This is another big category. We have F1,
Mm-hmm.
Marty Supreme,
Mm-hmm.
One Battle After Another,
Mm-hmm.
Sentimental Value, which I haven't seen yet,
Me neither, but I'm going
and
to. I think it's available for rent right now.
yeah, and Sinners.
I would. I'm leaning towards F1.
Yeah, I'm leaning towards that or Marty Supreme because both movies.
So when we think of this category, what are we looking at? Are we looking at how
Like if you're not aware of the pace, like if you're not thinking about it and you're absorbed the entire time.
like,
And I thought F1 felt a little long, but that's also because I thought it was really cliche and cheesy.
okay,
Even though I still like the movie and got the 4K Steelbook over there.
damn it.
One Battle After Another, I started feeling the runtime a bit by the time we got to the third act. Sinners was edited pretty well, but I think it's probably going to go to F. I think F1.
I'm thinking F1. F1 is like I'm not even looking at my watch when I was watching F1.
Yeah, I mean Marty.
I mean the same thing for Sinners, but F1 you couldn't even remind me I was wearing a watch watching that movie.
I mean Marty Supreme. That was also for a movie as episodic as that to keep the flow going. I thought was impressive, but that's kind of a toss up.
Yeah.
Cinematography, Frankenstein.
Frankenstein.
Marty
That's gonna be
Supreme.
a running joke every time.
Frankenstein.
Frankenstein.
Marty Supreme, One Battle After Another, Sinners, and Train Dreams.
I haven't seen Train Dreams. It's on Netflix. I haven't
but
seen.
I watched the trailer and the cinematography does look very good. Very luscious. I'm surprised that Marty Supreme is on here before, say, Begonia. Because Begonia had luscious cinematography. That was just like eye candy every frame. I think this could be Sinners. I think what I would pick for this Sinners. That looked. I mean, for the movies I've seen in the category, Sinners looked amazing.
I think it would. Hamlet looks very good as far as highlighting the green, the lush green.
Did not get nominated in cinematography.
Oh, I thought you said Hamlet.
No,
you mentioned it just previously, and I just confused it. Sorry.
Yeah, no.
What was it again?
A while ago, Hamlet was costumes. It got okay. So Frankenstein.
No, what were the categories again?
For cinematography, we got Frankenstein, Marty Supreme, One Battle After Another, Sinners, and Train Dreams.
Cinematography.
That's cinematography.
I think Sinners and Frankenstein between those two.
Yep. It's going to be between those. I mean, and again, I saw the trailer for Train Dreams, and it also looks gorgeous. But I think it's going to come down to also.
It could probably be the upset. It could be the upset.
Train Dreams would be. I think Train Dreams would be the upset, but it's also because at times the popularity aspect of the Oscars come into play.
Yeah.
Best casting. This is the brand new category. We have Hamnet, Marty Supreme, One Battle After Another, The Secret Agent, and Sinners.
Sinners.
Yeah, probably Sinners. I haven't seen The Secret Agent, and I have no.
Of that movie works.
I have not seen The Secret Agent, and Hamnet only finally gets released at my theater tomorrow, so I'll probably see it on Monday.
Yeah.
So that's for casting, and I think you're right. Sinners, that's got the most stacked cast for the people, and that was really good. I'm gonna skip all the shorts and documentaries because we're not really familiar with that.
We don't even get them until after the awards are over.
Yeah, exactly. Animated feature, Arco, Elio, K-pop Demon Hunters, Little Amelie, and Zootopia 2.
It's gonna okay. It could either go back to Disney winning every year, which they were doing for like a decade or so, or it could go to K-pop Demon Hunters. If it goes to Disney, it's gonna be Zootopia. If it doesn't go to Disney, it's gonna go to K-pop Demon Hunters. The upset would have to be Arco or the other movie you mentioned, just because it's not K-pop Demon Hunters and it's not a Disney movie. But I
Yeah,
haven't seen those two movies, so I can't really judge it just yet. But out of the ones you mentioned, the one that I think is neck and neck, because I like K-pop and Zootopia 2 just as much as the other one, on the same length.
yeah.
Elio looks good, but Elio looks very Saturday morning cartoon, very easy, very inoffensive and safe
Hmm.
for getting a double nomination, basically, for Disney. Um, but I haven't seen the other two, so right now it's gonna be a coin toss. Is it gonna be the tried and true method with Disney, or the out of nowhere dark horse K-pop Demon Hunters?
And it's worth noting, Zootopia 2's crossed 1.7 billion as the highest grossing animated film.
Which, if
K-pop
it does
Demon.
win, is because they're gonna tack that at the end of it. Well, it made 1.7 million, a
Well,
billion.
I think Zootopia 2 is as good as the first one. It's like a toss-up. Pick your poison as to which you prefer. In terms of the story is similar, the themes are pretty much the same, so it's like, yeah, whichever. Uh,
But it
K-pop
didn't.
Demon Hunter,
But K-pop was actually like
right? But let's
staking
be real.
it.
But so Zootopia 2 made 1.7 billion.
Uh
K-pop
huh.
only 24 million. People were not interested in going out to see K-pop when they gave it a theatrical release.
Yeah, because everybody that watched it at home when it came out initially.
Right, and a lot of people have Netflix, but even Demon Slayer, which was already on Netflix and had been on Netflix for a little while, made a lot of money.
Those two are not comparable. I've already said this
But
before.
right,
It's
but
not.
here's the thing. No, I know, but I mean is domestically speaking, excluding the world thing for a second. Domestically, Demon Slayer made 135 in North America after it had already been on Netflix for quite a while, whereas
Uh-huh.
K-pop's domestic haul was like 12, or really small, but compared to the 24 that it made. But
Okay.
again, these were two movies that were already on Netflix for everybody to have had an opportunity to see them. Uh, but then again, K-pop might be the better movie. I don't know. I had an opportunity to see K-pop, but like I said, it's totally out of my wheelhouse, so I didn't go see it.
Well, what? Okay, but other than the K-pop being the thing, what of it is out of your wheelhouse? You basically have uh Charlie's Angels fighting demons, and they sing here and there.
Well, like I said, as far as Korean pop music, I'm not big on that, and
Yeah, but
it's
the Korean
musical.
pop music is just the for the generation aspect of it, because the
And
current
then the
generation,
pseudo anime animation, I'm not a fan of
it's
as
the
big
same
into that.
style as Into the Spider-Verse.
That's true. It was similar to that, but again, I'm not interested in the
Okay,
like
you just
again.
love
Charlie's Angels. I've
it.
not. Charlie's Angels is something I could throw in the pile for that matter. Uh, okay, so this is the next big category that I'm upset that I haven't seen most of these yet because they either didn't get a release around here or I
Yeah.
was laid up with a broken leg, and that is Best International Feature Film. We have The Secret Agent from Brazil. It Was Just an Accident from France, which is of course a Persian Azerbaijani film submitted by Jafar Panahi. Sentimental Value from Norway. Surat from Spain, and The Voice of Hein Rajab from Tunisia. No Other Choice did not get in. That was the Park Chan-wook Korean film. So that was a surprise.
Oh, so I
But
want to, because the one that I did see didn't get nominated, and the ones that I do want to see are now starting to make the promo marketing.
yeah,
So
so I wish I could have seen these films. I'm definitely gonna. I mean, Sentimental Value's up for rent. I'll wait for the rental
wait,
part.
is Secret Agent the one that got Wagner Moura the
Yes,
Golden Globe win?
yes,
Okay, that's the one. Okay, because I saw him on the Golden Globe. Wait, what the fuck have you been? What were you nominated for?
yeah.
You just came
Uh,
out of nowhere.
but yeah, that's I can't. Sentimental Value is the one I want to see all of those movies basically.
I know
Uh,
there's a couple that weren't mentioned or even in any awards consideration. There's one called the Baltimoreans I want to check out.
right, I heard good things about that, but that wouldn't be an international feature.
No, I'm just talking in general terms of
Oh, right.
movies that didn't make the cut.
Oh, we'll get to that in a bit. But adapted screenplay, we got Begonia, which is
Hmm.
adapted from the Korean film Save the Green Planet.
Hmm.
Frankenstein by Mary Shelley. Hamnet, based on the novel by Maggie O'Farrell, a very recent novel, I'm told. One Battle After Another, based on Vineland by Thomas Pynchon. And Train Dreams, based on the novella of the same name. So I think this is going to go to One Battle After Another. I think it's pretty much a lock for that. Time for PTA to get some flowers for his writing, and I think that's going to be it.
All right, time for the PTA meeting.
Yes. All right,
For a
what do
PTA
you
meeting.
what do you think?
It can go either way.
Either way, between which do you think is the runner or the other?
Uh, Hamnet, Frankenstein, and One Better Than Another.
Okay. Original screenplay, we got Blue Moon, which is the Ethan Hawke movie.
Want to see one too.
I wanna see that one.
It's
It
on
was
Prime right now for rental.
yeah, it was Just an Accident by Jafar Panahi, Marty Supreme by Josh Shafty and Rachel Bronstein, Sentimental Value by Joachim Trier and Eskil Vogt, and Sinners by Ryan Coogler.
Mm.
I think Sinners. I mean, it's
Sinners is going to really collect. That's for sure.
it should collect and
Especially with who it's being pit against. I'm like, the thing
no,
is, I'm surprised because usually a movie that comes out as early as it did gets lost in the shuffle very easily.
yeah.
So they really made a push for this one to get nominated.
And again, I haven't seen 3 of these. Blue Moon, it was Just an Accident, Sentimental Value, but I can tell you that from based on other nominations, Sentimental Value is well liked.
Mhm. Is that the one with Skarsgård too? And Elle
Yes,
Fanning? Okay.
yes. Marty Supreme is another one, which the script was probably incredible for that one. But I think it's going to be Sinners because Sinners is clearly for 16 nominations. The Academy loved this movie, and so I think it might go to Sinners. That's my prediction anyway. All right,
Mhm.
now we get to the big categories. Supporting actress: Elle Fanning for Sentimental Value. I'm going to butcher this name. Inga Ibsdottir for Lelias for Sentimental Value.
Mhm.
Amy Madigan for Weapons. Wunmi Masaku for Sinners, she played Annie, and Tiana Taylor for One Battle After Another.
Okay, I'm gonna be honest about it. I don't think Tiana Taylor was as good as people were raving. I think
Yeah.
she was fine, but I don't think it's enough to be nominated, but it is what it is. What were the other ones?
Wunmi Masaku, who played Annie in Sinners.
Okay.
Amy Madigan, who played the witch in Weapons, Aunt Gladys. And then the 2 actresses, Elle Fanning and Inga Lilias from Sentimental Value, which I haven't seen.
I don't know who it's gonna go to.
Yeah, I
don't think it should go to Tiana, but for the other 4, I don't know who it's gonna be.
I mean, Amy Madigan did win Critics' Choice. I was surprised she got nominated because usually they snub horror, the Academy. Because
I mean,
honestly, if people are like, "Oh, it's a big year for horror," because Sinners got all these nominations, like, I'm sorry, but Sinners is not a horror movie. Like, yeah, you're dealing with zombies, or with vampires, but it's not really a horror
it's
movie.
in the category, but it's not pure horror.
Yeah, it's not like a pure solid horror movie. I think Weapons has a better eerie atmosphere and trying to foster that creep show
Pop
factor.
horror. It's pop horror.
Yeah. I'm gonna save supporting actor for a bit because I think that's more stacked. So I'm gonna go to best lead actress next. We have Jessie Buckley for Hamnet, who I think is the lock, even though I haven't seen it yet. Rose Byrne for If I Had Legs, I'd Kick You. Kate Hudson for Song Sung Blue.
Mhm.
I'm going to butcher this name. Renee Ransvi for Sentimental Value. And Emma Stone for Begonia.
It's gonna be Buckley. It's hers.
Probably Buckley. Yeah.
I walked out of that movie and it was her movie. When I talked to you about it, that was her movie. She's got it. The upset would be her not winning it.
Oh, if anybody else won it, that would be
If anybody else won it, it would be the upset. I don't think it's going to be Emma Stone. She already got hers. I don't see her winning it again so soon, even though it's not impossible. But it has to be Jessie Buckley. My money is on Buckley.
All right, now best lead actor. We got Timothée Chalamet for Marty Supreme, Leonardo DiCaprio for One Battle After Another, Ethan Hawke for Blue Moon, Michael B. Jordan for Sinners, and Wagner Moura for The Secret Agent. And again, I've not seen The Secret Agent or Blue Moon, but I think it's a 2-horse race myself in terms of the momentum between Michael B. Jordan and Timothée Chalamet.
Okay. I don't think it's going to be Michael B. Jordan.
Really?
No, I don't. As much as here's the thing. I haven't done my top 10, and so far the movie to beat the number 1 spot is Sinners.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm not putting that movie tentatively on number 1 because of Michael B. Jordan. That movie had everything else that made it as great as it was for me. So I don't think it's going to be him, even though he was playing 2 characters.
And that technology has gotten so good. Like, you can't even, it's like, how did they do that? And again, the fact that he's not acting with anybody because he's doing that with himself back and forth, that was so good.
I can't really say for Wagner Moore because I haven't
Yeah.
seen The Secret Agent
Or Ethan Hawke for Blue Moon.
or Ethan Hawke, and Ethan Hawke could be
The dark horse.
the dark horse upset here.
Right, because Wagner Moore already won the Golden Globe, so people
Yeah.
have they're paying
So
attention to
here's the
that.
thing. As much as I have already expressed how I do not like Marty Supreme that much,
Yeah.
even I have to admit that, okay, I might not fucking like this character one way or another, but Timothée Chalamet he's
Yeah.
performing the hell out of that character. And the, DiCaprio, while okay,
Yeah.
I can see the nomination, the
Yeah.
it was not the performance he did in
Uh,
The Revenant, that's for sure.
honestly, I was surprised. I even think he should have between the two of them that he should
I
have
mean,
won.
you yourself said that the movie could have happened without him either way, so
I think he should have won for Wolf of Wall Street over The Revenant. The Revenant felt like Oscar bait, but it was also the
yeah, but
cinematography was gorgeous.
if you remember, I don't know if you remember this, but when he was cast in that movie with Iñárritu, I said
Yeah.
it day one, this is his Oscar. He's gonna win it. And then a year later he wins it, but he's
Yeah.
not gonna win it this time.
Yeah. Yeah, I was kind of
It
surprised
could
he
be
got nominated.
Chalamet, it could be Timothée Chalamet,
Chalamet.
Chalamet, but
Salad. Uh,
but
Chalamet's
it could
yeah.
be Ethan Hawke because I'm hearing buzz from Ethan Hawke as being very good in Blue Moon.
Uh, Chalamet, I think will probably get it. Honestly, I think DiCaprio should have been knocked off in favor of. Well, then again, knocked off from the ones I've seen. I haven't seen The Secret Agent or Blue Moon, but again, I thought Lee Byung Hun was amazing in No Other Choice. I thought he should have been on this list before DiCaprio. But again, I can't speak for whether it would be better to knock off Hawk or Mora. So
I
that's
can't say really
right.
definitively. It's really gonna be okay.
Yeah,
Here we go. Who's it gonna
but
be?
I think it's going to go to Chalamet, and I wouldn't be. He did a great job with that. So
Yeah.
this is the stacked one now. Best Supporting Actor. We
Okay.
have Benicio del Toro for One Battle After Another, Jacob Elordi for Frankenstein, Delroy Lindo for Sinners, Sean Penn for One Battle After Another, and Stellan Skarsgård for Sentimental Value. Stellan won the Globe. I think he might have also won the Critics' Choice. I'm not sure. Let me
Say the
see.
names again.
Stellan Skarsgård for Sentimental Value.
Mm-hmm.
Sean Penn for One Battle After Another. Delroy Lindo for Sinners. Jacob Elordi for Frankenstein, and Benicio del Toro for One Battle After Another.
Personally, I would give it to Sean Penn. I mean, he was a character. He was somebody else in that movie from the first frame.
Yeah, and I admit, as much as I love Benicio del Toro in One Battle, Sean Penn is doing a much more transformative, crazy thing. Delroy Lindo, I was very happy to see him on this list. He got snubbed for Da 5 Bloods 5 years ago.
That's where he should have won.
Yes, he should have won, and they didn't even nominate him for that. I'm so pissed off about that. I'm so happy to see him on this list, but he was really good too. He's captivating in all his scenes.
But not like he was in The 5 Bloods.
Yeah, and
you could argue that movie he took over that movie at some point.
And again, I haven't seen Sentimental Value, but I love Stellan Skarsgård, so I'm happy to see that. I'll hopefully have seen it because the Oscars aren't until March 15th, so hopefully I've seen it by then.
We have time to do like a recap of all the movies and we can actually do a video where we can revisit all the categories after watching most of the nominations and really give our take on who will win or who should win.
Yeah, and Jacob Elordi was good, but I was like, okay. Oh, and I forgot to mention one of the things that people thought was a snub for lead actor. They thought Jesse Plemons should have been on that list for Begonia, which I thought he was really good, but I don't know. I haven't seen Wagner Moore.
Why he was snubbed?
Yeah, he was another one I think maybe could have gotten in over DiCaprio. All right, now the top two.
I wonder if Elordi got nominated because he's got Wuthering Heights coming out, and they're using that as a
right
for the movie.
That's in the supporting category, whereas
yes, but now they can use it as best supporting nominee.
Right.
Jacob
Right.
Elordi.
That's true. Now the top two. Uh, Best director, we have Chloe Zhao for Hamnet,
Mm-hmm.
Josh Safdie for Marty Supreme,
Mm-hmm.
Paul Thomas Anderson for One Battle After Another, Joachim Trier for Sentimental Value, and Ryan Coogler for Sinners.
Of
I
that list.
I think it's going to be Paul. It's his year. Time to give him his flowers. They fucked up not giving it to him for There Will Be Blood or Boogie Nights. It's like I think he's going
Yeah,
to get it.
it's possible. Otherwise, it's gonna go to Coogler.
That's true because if Coogler and Anderson split the vote on the screenplay, because one's adapted and one's original, they'd both have their Oscars for that.
Mm-hmm.
Because Chloe Zhao won Best Drama Director at the Globes, but that doesn't always mean anything. I don't think it's going to go to Josh Safdie, but
No, and it's not gonna go to Chloe Zhao either.
and Joachim Trier probably not. I mean, Sentimental Value for a foreign film getting a lot of nominations in a lot of categories. So
When was the last time a foreign movie had an upset best director like this?
maybe Parasite, if it's an upset. I don't know. Maybe.
Parasite had a Parasite. I'm like, yeah, I see it.
Okay,
Nope.
yeah. So I think it's going to go to PTA
Yeah,
or Coogler. I think it's going to be a toss up between
it's gonna
those
be those
two,
two. It's gonna be those
but I'm
two.
leaning more towards Paul. So here we go. The big category: Best Picture. We have Begonia, F1, Frankenstein, Hamnet, Marty Supreme, One Battle After Another, The Secret Agent, Sentimental Value, Sinners, and Train Dreams.
Sinners or One Battle After Another.
Yeah, it's a two-horse race between those two movies. I can't believe that F1 and Begonia made this list over, say, No Other Choice or maybe The Long Walk and Warfare.
Yeah.
Because again, F1's a fun movie. It's not Best Picture. No. But as we always know with the Oscars, it's always like a five real nominations and then five fake ones. But this is really a two-horse race. It's going to be Sinners or One Battle After Another.
Are we going to see from Academy Award winning director Ryan Coogler Black Panther 3 on the poster someday? Or are we going to see the next Paul Thomas Anderson feature directed by Academy Award winning?
And they'll have to specify for a director because I think both of them are going to win for the screenplay, adapted and original.
Yeah.
So I think One Battle might have more steam for that. Maybe not, but I think.
Hell, I'm already seeing like 5 articles saying why One Battle After should be the best picture winner. I haven't seen an article for Sinners on that category.
Yeah, I like Sinners, and
I'm
I
not
still
calling
have
that
it
a
good.
litmus test. I'm just saying there is a favorite, and it's One Battle After Another for Best Picture and Best
Yeah.
Director.
So One Battle got 13 nominations. It could only win 12 because it's nominated twice in the supporting actor category.
The Oscar in half.
Yes. And Sinners got the 16 nominations, and it's like, I feel that Frankenstein could get a lot of the things like costumes and production design, makeup and hairstyling, and maybe cinematography even. It could get all of those awards from Sinners. I mean, I was surprised at something like One Battle getting a production design nomination for a contemporary film, but it's like, okay. But yeah, I think it's pretty much a two-horse race between those two films. And because Sentimental Value has so many nominations everywhere else, I think it's going to get Best International Feature over The Secret Agent because it's a two-horse race between that one and The Secret Agent because they're the ones that have the foreign films with the most nominations.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's the Oscars this year, and that's slated for March 15th.
All right.
All right. Now we finally get to the main event. 79 minutes into the show.
Yes, we've already teased you and blue-balled you enough, people.
Yes, From the Pile, episode 3. Would you like to go first, or would you like me to go first?
I will have you go first.
All right, this is we picked crime dramas this week. This is a gangster picture, a very famous gangster picture, directed by Martin Scorsese from the 90s. you like to venture a guess? There are a
Martin
couple
Scor-
to choose from.
Say again, Martin Scorsese from the '90s.
A Martin Scorsese gangster film from the 90s. There are a couple to choose from. Maybe
Mm,
more.
I'm trying to remember if I've seen Martin Scorsese movies from the '90s. Casino?
Nope.
No, that was not the '90s.
It was the 90s.
Oh, it was. So it's not Casino. Um, you said '90s, so it can't be the one I'm thinking.
What were you
Uh,
thinking?
well, he produced it. I don't think he did it. So it's not that one.
What is
Not,
that one?
is it The Grifters? No, you said it's directed by Martin, right?
Yeah.
Okay. It's not Hugo because that was 2000s. Wait, was it Gangs of New York?
No, it's 2002.
Oh shit, not the 90s. Okay, I give up.
Goodfellas.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Wow.
That's 1990.
I'm not upset, but wow, you haven't seen Goodfellas.
Yes, Goodfellas. Yes. Herc, yeah, yes, you guessed right on the second try. Goodfellas. I had never seen Goodfellas.
Damn. So how'd you take it?
Joe Pesci steals the movie as the irredeemable psychopath, and he's just great in that movie. The Copacabana one shot is an all timer. I can see why it's been copied a billion times in other movies.
Mm-hmm.
Very clever how they executed that shot too. 'Cause you'll notice when they're walking through the kitchen that they actually do a loop and go back out the same door they went in, but they disguise it really well. So I thought that was kind of neat. Um, Now the movie itself, it's funny. After the cold open, there's like 16 minutes of flashbacks of uh, Ray Liotta narrating his childhood and how he got in his early life and how he got involved with the mafia. And to me, the whole movie sort of played out that way, where he's narrating these little vignettes, and it all felt like massive backstory information. And I was waiting for him to go, okay, we're done with all the backstory shit. Now the story could start. But that never really happens because the whole movie is like various time jumps with here's a little vignette you could see and he's narrating over, and here's another one. Kind of like that sequence in The Departed when DiCaprio's talking to the therapist. She's like, "How do you feel?" And he says, "How do I feel?" And you get this and it segues into a montage of all the horrible things he's been doing with Mr. French over a year while he's talking.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel that's kind of how Goodfellas plays out in its entirety. Like it felt like so much backstory. Okay, you've established this and that, and I'm waiting for him to stop and say, "Okay, this is where you kind of settle into a groove and take off like a traditional movie." And that never really happens. And I thought when he got to the Lufthansa heist, so that's where the movie was going to finally let it be a bit more linear and less time jumpy and less narration. Because like even in noir film, narration is more of a stylistic complement. It's not something that's filling in a lot of missing material. Uh, I couldn't believe that he didn't depict the Lufthansa heist, though, considering it's a big, But that's like okay, that's kind of surprising. And because of that style of vignettes and storytelling, I didn't really connect with any of the characters and didn't think there was much character depth. So I didn't really care about what happened to any of them. Uh, like for instance, spoilers. I wasn't surprised when Joe Pesci ate it. It's like okay, it's like because again, he's a fun character, really great and well, fun.
Whoa, 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 whoa. What do you mean he's a fun character? What's so fun about him being a character?
He's a second.
You mother! You mother! whenever you got a pause, you're just like shit. Oh, shit.
Yes, I make you laugh. You think I'm a clown, says Herc. Yes.
That scene was intense, by the way. That scene was intense.
It was. Yes, you're right, Herc. Not many redeeming qualities of any of the characters. That's true. So combine that.
Get it. Mwah.
So combine that with the fact that so much of it is like one vignette after another rather than settling into a groove. I thought it was okay. I thought it was all right. I'm not over the moon about it, but I did like the part in the climax where it says, Sunday, May 11th, 1980, and it keeps showing you the time of day throughout as Henry's being followed by the helicopter. And that was kind of intriguing because I admit I forgot how the true story ended because it had been a while since I'd looked into it. But again, I think this is a situation where, I watched a cast reunion afterwards, and Paul Sorvino, who played Paulie, was talking about how similar to The Godfather, this is a movie where the gangsters were like real people. And it's based on a book called Wise Guy, and even Paul's like, yeah, these wise guys talking with a Chicago accent. He's like, this is not what this was. And it's like, yeah, and that's a movie, and that's another reason why I think the movie is also really praised. I mean, it's a good movie, but I didn't think of it as 5-star greatest of all time type movies like so many people rank it. And De Niro's good. Um, I think I liked him in Casino better. And this one, because again, it's just that vignette storytelling style that, okay, you're kind of telling me a story and choosing to show random thing. Can we stop that for a little bit so we can actually spend some time with these characters other than doing these constant jumps here and there? So, I mean, I didn't love it, but I didn't hate it either. I gave it 3.5 out of 5. But again, Joe Pesci and that Copacabana shot are chef's kiss.
You fucking piece of shit. Go get your shine box. Oh my god. Okay, yeah. I remember the first time I saw it was while I was in college because they were going to discuss I forget what the topic was, but we had to like do this essay where we take 3 scenes from the same director and kind of do like a compare and contrast, but we
Mhm.
could pick the director. And I wanted to pick movies I already saw from Martin Scorsese, and I wanted to throw a curveball. And because I had never seen Goodfellas, I decided to make Goodfellas the curveball scene.
Mm. Yeah, Herc says, yeah, vignette is a good way of describing the movie. Yeah, it's a series of vignettes because they're trying to adapt a true story and tell you the whole story, and maybe it's trying to do too much, and maybe that's part of it.
I just now noticed that he's got 007 as his.
There's
I mean,
Brosnan.
well, I don't know if it's 007, but it's Pierce Brosnan, my goat 007.
Yes, looking very suave there, Herc.
Very suave.
Uh, yeah, so Goodfellas. I don't. It wasn't so much that I was avoiding it. It's not a movie I hear a lot of people in my circles talking about a lot compared to something like The Godfather, and so
Brought up a
it's
lot.
a lot of it was out of sight, out of mind.
Yeah.
And then it's like, oh, how have I not seen this movie? I should probably watch it. So I finally did. Uh, okay, Ernesto, you gonna give me any clues, or are you just gonna come right out with it?
Well, the only clue I can say is that I need help mailing it because there's already stamped for it.
Oh, Zodiac!
Yep. Zodiac.
Wow.
To the SF Chronicle, San Francisco, California. Please rush to the editor.
Yes.
So this came out in 2007.
Yeah, March
And
2007.
other than knowing that it was directed by Devin Fincher, and the fact that it had Jake Gyllenhaal in it, I
Mhm.
didn't know who else was in the movie. I never
Mhm.
bothered looking it up. And then the movie starts, and I'm like, okay, there's Jake, Robert Downey Jr. I put it in cold, cat.
Yeah.
Not even looking at the cast. I'm like, Robert Downey Jr. And when I looked at the year it came out, I'm like, oh my god, this is a year before Iron Man came out. The dude was getting his groove back in
Yeah.
Hollywood after having all his substance abuse issues and all that stuff. So that was a surprise. And then you have Mark Ruffalo, and I'm just like, damn, it's an MCU reunion in this movie. You have Tony Stark, Dr. Banner, and Jake Gyllenhaal, which would later be in the MCU, like freaking 20 years later, practically at that point. So you're
Yeah.
like, man, okay, this is like a who's who right now of who's popular in Hollywood.
Hulk, Iron Man, and Mysterio teaming up.
Exactly. Hulk, Iron and Mysterio solve a crime.
Yes.
You know what? That could be a good 6-issue comic book. Hulk solve a crime. Um, I liked it very good. Didn't love it because the things that were kind of getting in the way for it were the things that kind of made it popular in the first place.
Mm.
For example, the visual effects of most of the scenes being done on green screen and on a stage, especially when they get to the murder on Cherry and Washington,
Yeah.
the taxi cab driver that gets killed because at that point the Zodiac killer, spoilers, was trying to change his modus operandi. And I remember the first time I saw anything about this movie was that one scene where Mark
Right.
Ruffalo is going back and forth between his partner and where the cab was coming from. And then I'm in class and we're basically having a discussion of visual effects and how it's being changed in the industry, like how far it's come in technology, like from Jurassic Park to even before Jurassic Park, Terminator 2, the T-1000, and The Abyss, which kind of like had like the liquid water visual effects and everything. So when you're going through the visual effects, and when I remember when I saw it in class, I was blown away that they were not on the street. They were actually on the sound stage, and it was all like tracking shot of, like, the only real thing in that scene were the
Outdoor.
cars and the costumes.
Well, they built that as an outdoor set.
Yeah, but they're not really in the
Right,
city.
but
They're
they're not, I know,
somewhere
but they're
else.
not in the sound, but they're not in a sound stage either. It's
Well,
outdoors.
the way it was framed when I
Right,
saw
yeah,
that example, it feels like it was a sound
yeah,
stage.
because they couldn't get permission to
Because
film
I've
in the
never seen the
yeah.
behind the scenes, so I'm just going
Oh,
by
yeah.
from memory recall. And then when I'm watching it this week,
Right.
it is so obvious. It stands out and it is ugly. You can see the green screen just cutting over Mark Ruffalo when the camera zooms in, or when he's standing there on the street and he's basically popping out of the screen. You think you
Yeah.
could put 3D glasses and pluck them out if you wanted to.
Speaking of which, what did you think of that, like, after the opening sequence of that shot where the camera's sweeping across the bay and into the city? Because that's all CG and fake too. What'd
Yes,
you think of that?
it was. I spotted it from the first frame. It was like,
Yeah,
oh, geez, this is
because that
this
looked really great in 2007.
and you know what? I wish I would have seen it in 2007 because it was an eyesore watching it on the 4K player, even though it's a
Oh,
Blu-ray. So it was working overtime. But that being said, the acting phenomenal.
mhm,
The and I could have looked this up if I wanted to, but I didn't. I wanted to see just how they presented it, and I was hooked on the mystery of it.
yep.
I'm like, who is this guy? Like, you're trying to figure
Mhm,
out who it is, and then you get pissed off halfway through because that's when they kind of give up because it's been taking so long that even the whole police department in the city wanted to move on from it. And even the Zodiac Killer felt like he moved on from it until you get to Jake Gyllenhaal's character, the cartoonist, and then he gets obsessed with picking up the baton and figuring out as he went on. I'm just like, motherfucker, why didn't you apply to be a detective? You got a brain for this shit. But at the
because
same time, it was also the frustrating. I'm just like, really? Where'd all this energy come from? Why didn't you bring that energy to the first half of the movie?
I think in the nature of obsession is that it takes a while to grab hold, and maybe he
Yeah.
wasn't as obsessed, but I have a very complex relationship with this film. On the
Okay.
one hand, it is one of the best period pieces for a Bay Area set movie. Like, it's 1969 through 1980, not a hippie or dope dealer in sight in San Francisco. It's very working class, very done very well. I thought when I first saw it that it was a masterpiece because I thought it was David Fincher's way of making it a meta breakdown of what the case has become, starting out so incredibly fact-based that they don't even depict the first murder because there was no witness,
Yeah.
and just devolving into conspiracy theories and blatant falsehoods and bullshit for the second
Mhm.
half. I was so discouraged when I listened to his audio commentary and learned that he bought it all hook, line, and sinker, despite doing 18 months of his own research after saying yes to the script. And I'm like, dude, if you just shared this with some of the cops you were interviewing, they could have set you straight on a lot. Like, for instance, one of the linchpins in the movie is that the birthday phone call happened on December 18th, 1969.
Mhm.
False. Happened January 10th, 1970.
Mhm.
And it was from tracing that call to a mental hospital because Armstrong, the Anthony Edwards character, thought this guy's going to call back. So he got the FBI to wiretap Belli's phone. The perp calls back February 18th. They trace it to a mental hospital. And they're like, hey, this is in the same jurisdiction as the police department, which got the call demanding that Mel Belli appear on the Jim Dunbar show. Well, they checked the public phone records, and sure enough, it was the same institution that called. And because it's not a mental institution for criminally insane people, they all have rights. They keep logs, and it was obvious from talking to the guy it was the same exact guy. And what do you know? His birthday is January 10th,
Mhm.
1943. It wasn't him. Graysmith knows this as well because in his second Zodiac book, he used a Freedom of Information Act petition to get that information, but he deliberately lied in the book and changed the date of this mythical phone call to match his suspect. And he was cocky enough to include the serial number for the Freedom of Information Act file, thinking nobody was going to call him on his bullshit.
Mhm.
In a similar fashion, Michael Mageau was shown the line of admonishment, but the guy showing it to him told him that Alan was the guy we like for it in advance and that he really needed him to pick him out of the lineup so they can get a search warrant. And when the resulting search warrant didn't yield anything, he recanted his identification and was like, well, I was trying to help, blah, blah, blah. And then the whole Zodiac knew Darlene thing with the sister. And my God, these sisters are so batshit crazy. Like, first it was she was in a satanic cult and she fled the cult. And so they killed her and all the other Zodiac victims to make it look like so they couldn't trace it back to them. Then it became, since Darlene was on her second marriage, it became, the killer that she witnessed a murder on her first honeymoon and he came after her and did all the murders to throw off suspicion. Then it became, she worked at that waitress as a restaurant and, found out about corruption in the Vallejo PD from the cops who come in at night. And so they killed her and all the other victims to make it look like somebody else did it. And it's like, except for the fact that she wasn't the first victim. The other two were 6.5 months earlier. And it was like, it just got so batshit. There's a wonderful YouTube video of the Sally Jesse Raphael show, which was a daytime talk show. And Graysmith's sitting there with his star witness for the Zodiac knew Darlene theory, and she's going off about how Zodiac dug up Darlene's coffin, dumped it on her doorstep, broke in through the side sliding glass door and tried to attack her, and that she barricaded herself in her closet and called for authorities, and they wouldn't come. And you could have heard a pin drop. And Robert's doing his best not to melt in his chair because this is a star witness. And sure enough, everybody who was friends with him read the account of the painting party when the book was published in 1986. They're like, no, never happened. And they're like, the source of the story was still in Monterey at the time and hadn't come home. The Lee who brought her presents from Tijuana was actually a black guy. And the kicker, which they never tell you, is that Graysmith actually doesn't think Alan is the Zodiac. He thinks a different guy, I can't remember his real name right now, he thought a different guy was Zodiac, but the publisher got cold feet because that guy had successfully sued the Vallejo PD for harassment in 1973. And not wanting all his work to go to waste, he rejiggered the book to make Alan the focus of the climax, and he pilfered details about his favorite suspect and infused him into the chapter on Alan to play up Alan as a suspect. And I'm like, that is so corrupt and so wrong. So when I'm watching the movie, I think it's magnificent because it's like you could tell that Graysmith is losing it. Like he's going to Sherwood Moral and he's got the alcohol and he's drinking, and Fincher's got the close up of the shot glass, or not the shot glass. It's like a big glass loaded with whiskey, and Graysmith's got the all disheveled look and he's trusting this guy. And so later when he confronts Ruffalo about it, and Ruffalo's like, oh, the same Sherwood who drinks, Sherwood cleared the guy, it's not him. And he's like, the same Sherwood who drinks like Paul Avery now. And I'm thinking, no, it's the pre-alcoholic Sherwood who used to be the best in the state. And while it was a great scene when he uses the salt and pepper shakers to talk about how they lived around the corner from each other, true, by the way, she didn't mention that she quit that job like a year earlier, and she only worked there for like 6 months, and he was attending school in Riverside at the time. So it's not like he's racing home 400 miles every weekend to go to the diner, which is why I thought it was a brilliant deconstruction of just this is what obsession does to people. It drives them crazy and causes them to do insane shit. And the Bob Vaughn sequence was great, where they got Roger Rabbit actor Charles Fleischer as Bob Vaughn at the house in the basement. Was awesome. But it's a very good, and it also has single-handedly the most terrifying scene I have ever seen in a movie, and that is Lake Berryessa, because I knew before seeing the movie that Fincher went back to the exact same spot. He brought in dirt and grass to plant there because there had been a lot of erosion, and he got permission to cut down 3 oak trees to plant on the island. And he shot it in September at twilight. So I'm like on the edge of my seat in terror watching what's about to happen because it is as real as you can get. But oh man, it was still a really great movie though. Like Robert Downey Jr. especially was amazing. The plan was to release it in October 2006, but it was over 3 hours, and the studio said no, you need to cut it down, and so they pushed it back to March so Fincher could have time to do that, and then everybody forgot about it come awards season. But I mean, that movie should have swept as far as costume design, makeup and hairstyling, production design, cinematography, supporting actor for either really any of the three, like Ruffalo or Downey Jr.
Despite how reality is much more disappointing than anything, as a movie itself, not again because I didn't look anything about okay, well, who was the Zodiac killer? What did they ever figure out who it was or stuff like that? I didn't bother looking it up because I was more engrossed in what was being presented, so I just focused on that because A, we're doing from the pile, and B, just focus on the movie. Worry about the reality of the situation later. So as a movie, I'm like, you know, I can see where you got the idea to make Mindhunters on Netflix, which
Mhm.
unfortunately will never continue because
Yeah,
Netflix deems it's too expensive to warrant it, even though they burn money left and right on bullshit.
exactly.
But as a movie, I'm like, even though some of the aesthetics do not hold up, like again, I wish I could have seen it in 2007 when it came out because I probably would have
Mhm.
appreciated it more. But on a performance level, on a costume level, on a getting involved, like being in the room with them trying to figure out, what the most upsetting part about it was that they just let it, you know, like if it felt like
Right.
interest in it, I'm just like, this guy's still out there. Like, what the fuck?
Well,
And I
there's
get
also
it. That happens all the time. I'm not saying it's unique to this story and this
yeah.
person, but it was very frustrating. I'm like, what? Like, because the movie is always cutting to 2 years later, 1 year later, 6 months later. I'm like, my God, what the fuck are you guys doing? Catch this motherfucker.
I think part of it is also like, especially for San Francisco and Vallejo, are crime ridden. They got so many other crimes they got to solve. But there's a point in the movie when Ruffalo calls Edwards and he says, there aren't many, Bill, there aren't many basements in California. And he's like, oh, yeah, basements for future use. And you don't hear the follow up to that. But I always thought that would be a legit way to try and catch him because the Bay Area does not have many basements in their houses. And assuming it wasn't a slip up because he mentions the basement a few times, cross check that against people with military IDs because of the Wingwalker prints and just work from there. And, back in those days, they didn't have the profilers, so they didn't know the type of person they were looking for. And
Yeah, and
spoiler
then the
alert, they weren't.
FBI would create those later.
Right, and spoiler alert, these were not sex crimes, they were narcissist crimes. It's totally driven by purely narcissism. But it's like it does make you wonder, like nowadays the case would probably be solved. Like there's a great making documentary on there about that you have on your Blu-ray there, called "This Is the Zodiac Speaking," where they track down the original victims and investigators and stuff to recount the 4 confirmed attacks. And one of the cops says at one point, he's like, yeah, if this crime happened today, they would have locked down the crime scene for 24 hours. They would have looked for hairs, follic hairs. They would have found something. And because you have, automated fingerprint database, he's like, yeah, the guy would have been
Yeah,
arrested. Period.
even at the end of this movie, when they mentioned that DNA was starting to become,
Yeah.
very prevalent in all these investigations, it was like again, the frustration
Right.
kind of builds up into you because you just brought up that if this was done today, they could have figured this out over the weekend and figured out who it was.
That's actually one of the recent developments. So you remember when they go down to Riverside and the Riverside detective shows him the 3 notes sent on the 6 month anniversary said Bates had to die or there were more. Turns out San Bernardino, the Riverside PD received a letter postmarked from San Bernardino. It didn't have the specific address, but it was a letter from somebody claiming that they were the ones who sent those in because they were an ornery teenager, angry teen who was looking for attention, and he was deeply apologetic about it. But they were able to pull the DNA off of the stamp, and it took a few years of genealogy, but they tracked him down and
Yeah.
they detained him, and the statute of limitations had expired, but they grilled him all day to make sure he wasn't also the killer, and he wasn't, so they let him go. Problem with the Zodiac letters is I've seen photographs of people handling these things without gloves, not inside an evidence bag, holding it up and looking at this shit. And I'm like, my God, you guys can't do that. Uh, and so I don't know. They when they heard about genetic genealogy in 2018, they said they wanted to try a new technique of separating DNA from the bottom of a sticker, like like a stamp. But we've never heard anything since then, and I think it's just too contaminated. But I think the guy's probably been dead a long time anyhow. But it is kind of frustrating to because if you save DNA, it works. Like Sacramento police were stupid when they were when they had the East Area rapists. They figured, oh, the second the statute of limitations expired, they threw out all their DNA, even though they were convinced that the East Area rapist was also the guy who murdered the young couple walking their dog in Sacramento. And it's like, guys, you should have saved that DNA instead of doing something that's stupid. Fortunately, the Bay Area was smart enough to keep their DNA, despite that the statute of limitations expired, and that's ultimately why they were able to get the guy finally. But like even that Bong Joon Ho film, Memories of Murder, DNA finally solved that case in September 2019, and that was ironic because he was just going on the press tour for
Sorry, I got
Parasite,
a bit of a hair here. Jesus Christ, get out of there. All
and he
right.
said that he was going on the press tour for Parasite, and he was getting bombarded with messages from people about the fact that they had arrested the real guy, and or actually they didn't arrest him because he'd already been in prison for like 25, 28 years on an unrelated charge.
But it was
Uh,
linked.
it was linked through DNA, and at the time they couldn't charge him for the murders if they wanted to because apparently up until 2015, I didn't know this, but there was a statute of limitations on murder in South Korea up until 2015.
Yeah.
Uh, but it certainly will. You know, he's not going to get out. But
No, yeah.
yeah, it
But
is frustrating. You would
it's
think that with his
frustrating, but it's frustrating, but you know what? Despite all that, and I'm not talking about the movie, I'm just talking about in general, about
yeah,
solving crimes and law enforcement. It almost feels like you needed a situation like this to be fucked up in every way possible for the method of investigating these things and preserving evidence to change radically enough
yeah,
that, like we said earlier, if this was done today, it would have been done over the weekend and figured out, and the guy would have been caught. He would be on on court cam facing,
yeah.
facing a sentencing charge. It'll be all over YouTube. You get ironically, a Netflix documentary about it by the end of the year. So it's just like, yeah, it sucks. And as frustrating as it was, but it's like, but as a movie, I'm like, damn, that was very good.
It
That
was
was
very
really
good, very well done.
so I would give it a 4 out of 5.
Yeah, kind of like today. I would think that a case like the LA Night Stalker couldn't really happen today because so many people have Ring cameras and so many and just surveillance state that we live in, and the fact that everything's digitized and turned to databases. Like even though he's not leaving his fingerprints behind, it's like you can't do those type of crimes where you're assaulting people like that, leaving your DNA everywhere, and you're not going to get away with it. You're gonna that's a case you can solve over the weekend thanks to
Yeah. The only
societal
way you can
evolution of
the only way
technology.
you can try to get away with it is if it's not a crime of passion and it's premeditated. But
Right, and that,
even if it's premeditated, you have to be very careful.
well, that's what I mean. It's like with Night Stalker,
You have to be the invisible man basically to get away with
basically,
a
it's
lot.
how are you going to sneak into a neighborhood with the amount of surveillance and stuff nowadays without anybody seeing your car or seeing you?
And you know what? Unfortunately, they would have to go to very high crime,
Yeah,
impoverished areas to get away with it. And then it would be less about the crime and more about the racialness of it. You
yeah,
know, I'm just like, oh, I didn't kill them because they were black. I killed them because it was easier to kill them because they were black.
yeah. I was watching a interview that these guys were doing with these famous LA detectives on a YouTube channel, and they're like, "Yeah, the last serial killer must have been probably BTK," and it's like, what? Because they were only used to the ones which make the news, and it's like, no, there's plenty. I think the FBI statistics still states there's about 20 active every year,
Yeah.
but they are killing in communities like that or places where there's just no resources. Like even a place as wealthy as Stanford, California, didn't get DNA technology in their police departments until 2019,
Yeah,
2018,
it's always
2019.
either a funding, a political thing,
Yeah,
or this stuff never happens here. And
yeah,
then, oh man, could you imagine? Like, you have to imagine putting yourself in the shoes of certain people where how quickly their world just turns upside down when something like this happens.
yeah,
When they've all their life have been living very carefree. This stuff. I mean, yeah, they're aware that stuff like this happens, but I'm like, yeah, but here, come on. And then when it
yeah.
happens, it's like, fuck, here?
Another part of the problem is that almost anybody, there's not really strict qualifications on who can become a detective. And it's like when you can literally vote for your sheriff rather than promoting from within with people with actual skills, and it's not surprising if you have people who are bad at their jobs. And a lot of it comes down to incompetence. Like in Memories of Murder, a lot of the detectives are bozos who are literally just picking up innocent people and trying to beat confessions out of them because they're caving at the minute there's an ounce of pressure applied to the department because they weren't good detectives. And it took the city of Seoul, South Korea, to send in a more well, not a seasoned detective, but he was still kind of a rookie, but far more intelligent than people in these other country,
Yeah.
bumpkin towns to actually run the investigation. Uh,
But it kind of
yeah,
goes back to what I said earlier, and I wish it didn't happen like this, but hell, I think it was like 5 years ago. Netflix threw out that documentary, the Central Park Five, like the Five,
Yeah.
where they were pretty much just charging the wrong people because they were being A, pressured to get a confession, but B, it was, a very racist time. And they're like, oh, it had to be black people.
Yeah.
Like, and it had to be these kids. Oh, you were wilding? Is that what they call it these days? I'm just like, you idiot. No, that's not what it meant.
Yeah. Well, it's the same thing with, the Memphis, uh, uh, the West of Memphis documentary
Yeah.
about 3 guys who were goth who were indicted, arrested, and sent to death row for killing the kids that they didn't kill. And then
Mm.
even when the DNA exonerated them because they knew the victims were not contributing to the scene and it had to be the perpetrator, they're like, "Oh, well, there must have just been another killer there." It's like, really? It's
Yeah,
like,
it's like they can't bring themselves to say we fucked up.
well, it's not just that, it's the fact that they arrested him, like, the next day because they immediately cave into an ounce of pressure. Like, you didn't even investigate for a full 24 hours before you
Yep.
already just zeroed in and decided to give up on actually investigating the crime.
Yep.
And so that's frustrating, and we've seen that, with other cases. But yeah, so those are good picks for tonight. Goodfellas and Zodiac. But yeah, again, I advise definitely watch This Is the Zodiac Speaking on the bonus disc. It is an excellent documentary. Even the one his name was Arthur the Allen is a good one because the editor kind of cuts back and forth between two interviewees, almost like he's picking up that one of them might be lying. So he plays them off each other.
It says here, disc number 2, Zodiac Deciphered, an executive behind-the-scenes documentary on the making of Zodiac, the
Sweet.
visual effects of Zodiac, pre-visualization, which what we talked earlier about split-screen comparisons between animatics and finished film for the 3 murder sequences. This is the Zodiac Speaking, a feature-length documentary produced and directed by David Pryor, covering every aspect of the investigation, including interviews with the original investigators and surviving victims. And last but not least, his name was Arthur Lee Allen, the truth about the prime suspect in the Zodiac case, from people who knew him and the police who investigated him, all in a
Yeah.
2-disc Blu-ray. Which,
Yeah.
by the way, I gotta upgrade this shit because it is dying on me.
Like,
And I had this thing for like 8 years.
like the case is dying or what?
Yes, the case. I need to upgrade this shit.
Oh, I didn't notice. But
I mean,
yeah,
I like the mail, the mailing cover. I like
yeah,
the look of it, but I gotta, upgrade this thing.
yeah. This is the Zodiac one. It's like an hour 41 minutes, and then his name is Arthur Lee Allen. I think is about 38 minutes or so. And funny that they say the truth because one of the star witnesses, Don Chaney. It's like, yeah, okay, whatever. This is the version I got. Steely.
Gotcha.
Also the director's cut. They put out a 4K recently, but it's not the director's cut. I mean, I guess director's cut is kind of stupid because there's only like 1.5, maybe 2 extra scenes in it, and yeah, there's 2 extra scenes, and it's not Fincher's preferred over 3-hour version. So I don't even know why they're calling it a director's cut because it's like, no, that's not really a director's cut if that's not the one that he wanted. And it's funny because the studio wanted to make an Oscars push for it, but because they were so adamant, they cut it down. I'm like, you could have delayed it to the following year or something, or the following autumn instead of putting it out in March. But because again, I think they had a legit shot at winning multiple Oscars. But it is what it is.
All right. Well, I am not gonna. I don't think we need to do a genre for the next one. We can just pick it up. I know we're gonna do Batman next Thursday.
That's the thing for the chat. Next week, we're gonna take a break from the pile. We'll still be here next week, but we're gonna start our Batman comic book review show. What comic are we starting with? We got to tell the people what we're reading in case they happen to have one.
Did we already decide that we were gonna do Earth One?
Earth One. Okay, we'll start with Earth One.
Yep.
Earth One, Chapter One,
Yep.
or Book One, or whatever, Part
Yep.
One. Yeah, because it's a 3-volume series. So we'll do Volume 1 of Earth One next week, as well as covering other Batman news
Yep.
and whatever movies we've seen. I'll probably have seen Hamnet by then, so I could give my thoughts on that.
I'll probably have seen 3 of the last year's movies, so I'll have something to talk about.
Nice.
And I'm going to probably next week see a couple new movies coming out. They either might be some leftovers from last year or new stuff, but it's January, so it's kind of like pick your poison.
Right.
I really don't want to go see Mercy because I know it's going to be a piece of shit. So I'll probably
That
wait
was
for
kind
that.
of interesting.
Yeah, but it's not. You know the way it's marketed. I'm just like, you're not selling me on this thing. I mean, I want to watch it because it's got Rebecca Ferguson, and I love me some Rebecca Ferguson.
Mm.
But the fact that they're so pushing the 3D on this thing, I'm like, what is this thing that you guys coming out of the gate already promoting it as a 3D experience?
Oh, I haven't seen the 3D aspect of it for the marketing, at least not in my area.
Hmm.
Okay.
But yeah, and then I already know what's the next movie from the pal that I'm gonna watch. Which is related to the one we just discussed. I won't say what it is, but it is related.
So like that will be another crime film then?
Yes, but you don't have to watch another crime movie to
I
you
know.
can.
Yeah, I'm just figuring 'cause I'll spitball and I'll figure it out.
I'm sure you'll figure it out by the time we get to it.
Oh yeah, I got plenty of movies. I'm looking at them here too. But yeah. All right, I guess that's it. So we will be back. Ernesto and I will be back next week. We'll be reviewing Batman Earth One Volume One.
Before you
And
go, you know, before you
oh yeah,
go.
and we didn't have big audience tonight because I forgot to market it to create this event earlier today to market it. But I'm glad you're here, Herc,
Yep.
and Lemon Pie was here as well.
Just for a visual example, this is going to be the one we're going to be reviewing next week, Volume 1. And then after that, we will go to Volume 2.
Yep.
And then after that, Volume 3.
Oh, you did put out an individual Volume 3. I could never find it.
Really? You couldn't find it? It came out.
No, it
It was
was
on
out of.
pre-order. It was on pre-order.
Oh, because every place I was looking for it either wasn't in stock or was always out of stock or not printed at Amazon, and I just upgraded to the collected edition with all three of them in the same book.
Yeah. It's a shame because they really had something with this, but, you know, poor Gary Frank, he takes too long these days.
Oh yeah, they were supposed to do another one, weren't they?
Yeah, I mean, hell, part 3 ends with a tease for the next one.
That's right, it does. Are they even still working on it?
I don't know because I know they were supposed to do an Earth One of Aquaman, and that never happened. Not with Gary Frank. I think it was supposed to be with Ivan Reis and Joe Prado because they worked on Aquaman before for the longest time, but that never happened. I think the only Earth ones that did happen were the Earth One Batman, the Earth One Superman, but then the author of that one was starting to have a lot of issues with his eyesight, and I think after that it got abandoned. They only did 2 volumes of Teen Titans, no third one that I'm aware of. They did 2 volumes of Green Lantern, which is a complete like overhaul of what the Green Lantern mythology is. Again, Earth One, you're starting from scratch. They were supposed to do the Flash, never happened, and Wonder Woman was pretty much Grant Morrison just focusing. And I'm not saying it's a bad thing because I never read the final volume, but it was basically focusing more on the inspiration for Wonder Woman, where where it's basically more about submission and the benefits of submission.
Mm-hmm.
Because when they created her, she was born out of
Yeah.
the sexualized nature of dominant, submissive relationships and everything like that. Which, by the way, is one of the movies on the pile that I have here that we might get to at some point, and
Mm.
I won't say what it is, but it's related to Wonder Woman in a way. So yeah, that was the Earth One universe, and I think the Absolute universe is the one that's taking over as far as the entry point for new comic book readers, new continuity, new versions of these characters.
Okay.
Yeah.
Uh, so yeah, we'll be back next week.
The
They
Earth One
actually.
yeah, I'll say this last minute. Fun fact: the Earth One characters were mentioned in Multiversity
Oh
that
really?
Morrison wrote during the era between the New 52 and Rebirth.
Mm. Cool. So we will be back next week with I guess we'll just keep it under the same Batman show name, Capes, Cows, and Crusaders.
Yep.
And it will be a Batman review of Earth One, Volume One. So if you guys got that, check it out. If you don't have it, it might be on Comixology, I would imagine.
And I will do my best to find a trivia question. that'll go hand in hand with Cape Cows and Crusaders.
Yes. All right. So thank you very much for her 1:30 for showing up. I apologize again. I forgot to create the event this morning before I went to the movies. Hopefully people discover the video in the aftermath. But yeah. So thanks for coming, and lemon pie. Thanks. Well, we'll see you guys later next week.
Have a good one.
Good one.